MAGA has officially fractured. And oh boy, do I love to say that. Donald Trump's Epstein scandal has fully broken his party, and he has no idea what to do about it, because not only is the base pissed off, not only are Republicans in Congress turning on him, but his propaganda outlets, of which he have many, they can't defend him anymore. Especially one former Fox host who is losing it on Donald Trump, who is dying inside trying to defend him, and no longer can or will. We are going to get into it all and how the Epstein files have blown up everything for Trump. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button, because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we get into that Fox host dying inside, freaking out, and abandoning Trump, I want to start with someone who always infuriates Fox hosts and who called out this scandal today in a way that if you haven't seen, or even if you have, you need to see it again. It's Jasmine Crockett right here.
But Nancy Mace is on that subcommittee for sure. She's actually the chair of that subcommittee. This subcommittee, the ranking member is Summer Lee. So it was that subcommittee. So this was actually the tail wagging the dog. I just want to be clear about that. And ultimately, the chairman had a vote that was bipartisan, that was the majority, and he had to do it. But whether or not they have been like slow rolling this, there is no question about the fact that they have.
And you have had Marjorie Taylor Greene, I believe Thomas Massey. It's been some Republicans who want the full floor vote on this.
Yeah, we've got 4. Yeah. 4 out of the 219 Republicans, yes, in the House. The rest of them seem to be okay with being complicit with protecting pedophiles.
You know, it's interesting. A CNN poll from last July showed that 50% of Americans were feeling dissatisfied about the amount of information released on the Epstein case. Did that have any influence at all on your decision to make these emails public today?
No, I mean, ultimately what's happened is, obviously, again, we've not been getting anything from the DOJ. Instead, it's been the estate of Epstein. And so as they've been turning things over, it takes staff time to review those documents and things like that to make sure that we've got something, number one, of value to the public. There's still additional information. I want to be clear. We got way more than 3 emails. But in their cursory review, they were able to say, okay, here are 3 emails that we think are of value. We do anticipate that there will be more that they will find that will be of value. They will go through the redaction process. They will also consult with the Republicans before we release anything. So it takes a little bit of a process. But I will say, again, that the estate seemingly has been more participatory than our own Department of Justice, who we actually oversee.
So where do you think all of this is heading?
Good question. I don't know, but hopefully it will start with the swearing in of Adelita Grijalva, as they have been avoiding that. Again, the House was shut down over that. I'm sure that the president has been making calls trying to get one of the 4 Republicans that did sign on to the discharge petition. I'm sure he is begging and threatening to get them to pull their names off of there. We know that they don't want to vote. We know that they called us in just for one day to work after we've been out since September. Again, we could be doing additional work. Even if this continuing resolution passes, we should be passing our appropriations bills. That's all the continuing resolution is for, it is in the meantime. But instead, it seems like they want to continue to be evasive so that they can slow walk this subpoena actually coming down.
That is the type of passion that I want to see every Democrat talking about this issue with. And I know not everyone can be Jasmine Crockett, but everyone should approach this just disgusting depravity of a cover-up in the same way and calling it what it is. You don't have to get cute. Like, it is so straightforward. Donald Trump thinks that the government operates to protect pedophiles and protect his rich friends, and that's it. And this man who ran a campaign based solely on the idea that our country is broken and that our justice system is broken is now showing that he was right about that. Now, Donald Trump said that it was broken and it was against people like him, that there was a bias somehow against people like Donald Trump, that the government had been weaponized against him. He was lying about that. The government is weaponized for people like Donald Trump, by people like Donald Trump, for people like Ghislaine Maxwell, for people like Jeffrey Epstein. And that's what you should be saying. Point out the fundamental lie that even MAGA at this point cannot get over and cannot try to hide. They did for 8 weeks. It didn't work. And now even the hosts of the former Fox propaganda network have to admit it. and they don't like to. Megyn Kelly admits Epstein emails sound bad for Trump. MAGA podcaster Megyn Kelly had to admit that the emails Jeffrey Epstein wrote about Donald Trump released by House Democrats as part of Wednesday's bombshell leak sound bad for the president. I concede that they sound bad. They don't sound good. If I were a Democrat, I could easily make some hay with these, which they will, she said on her show. One of the 3 key emails released by the House Oversight Democrats on Wednesday find disgraced sex offender Jeffrey Epstein calling Trump a dog who hasn't barked and saying that a victim spent hours with Trump at his Epstein's house. Another email from Epstein says Trump, of course, knew about the girls and that he asked Ghislaine Maxwell to stop. Though Kelly, 54, admitted that they were not good emails for the president, she was more concerned about the optics of Trump not releasing the files than convinced they prove he committed any wrongdoing. Why didn't he just release these files? Just release them. Now he's in a position of being signaled out at the only one, allegedly, as opposed to one of a slew of names, she said. Other Republicans have shared Kelly's take. Republican Rep. Don Bacon of Illinois called the release a PR disaster on MSNBC yesterday and described the Epstein files rollout as a self-inflicted wound for the Trump administration. I would like to point out that MAGA's big qualm with the Epstein files right now is the PR of it. Like when you hear Marjorie Taylor Greene or you hear a Megyn Kelly or a Tucker Carlson or a Candace Owens ever try to sound reasonable, just like remember what is undergirding all of this. You'd be like, wow, Megyn Kelly says the emails sound bad. She's talking some sense. She's not talking some sense. She's like, if I were doing the PR at the White House, this is how I would have done it. Maybe think of the victims. Megyn, my God. What is wrong with these people? When she's like, the pedophilia, that's one thing, but what I really have a problem with is the PR. What are we doing, guys? How is that where your mind goes? Just, I have no words for these people sometimes. But it's a good thing that Congresswoman Melanie Stansbury, someone who I think should have a much bigger platform than she does and needs to be highlighted a lot more, had to say about all that is happening today. You should really take a listen to this.
So what this implicates is that potentially going back all the way to 2011, even after Jeffrey Epstein had been investigated for criminal activity, not just in sex trafficking, but also for financial crimes, which we know U.S. Attorney Acosta lied under his deposition about, that Donald Trump was being named by Epstein and by Ghislaine Maxwell as being the dog that didn't bark on them. And so the question is, what did Donald Trump have on them? Was he engaged in these activities? And why is Donald Trump calling Republican members of the House today and yesterday to threaten them to get off of the discharge petition? If he thinks that we should be focused on the reopening the government, then why is he personally calling Republicans and threatening them right now?
So help us understand this, because Democrats redacted Virginia Giuffre's name. And I mean, I have to say, these emails.
It came to us redacted. No, it came to us redacted.
It came to you redacted. Okay.
Yes, so we don't even know. That is the claim of the White House. So that's something that we should be asking questions about. Yes. Okay,
really interesting. So, and House Republicans came out and mentioned the redaction there. It is of significance that Virginia Giuffre, who was so vocal, right, and was not known for pulling any punches about what happened to her, did not accuse Trump of wrongdoing. And so I want to know kind of what you think of that, because there is this discrepancy. You have Epstein saying this in an email to Maxwell. Maxwell, you know, we know about her in terms of her credibility. She doesn't really have credibility, right, when it comes to being honest. I'd say people have the same questions about Epstein. Giuffre has said that there wasn't she hasn't claimed wrongdoing with Trump. So how do you kind of square what you're reading in the email with what Virginia Giuffre had said publicly?
Well, first of all, like I just mentioned, we don't know if the White House's claim that that redacted name actually is Virginia Giuffre. And maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but I think it's convenient that the White House is trying to choose an alibi that they think. And, you know, if you read the email, this is private correspondence between Maxwell and Epstein. Why does the White House know at all who Donald Trump was hanging out with at Jeffrey Epstein's house, who was one of the sex trafficking accusers, right? Like, this should be raising every hair on the back of your neck right now. We don't even know that that is who is named in this email. Secondly, Whether or not Virginia Giuffre has accused the president of wrongdoing, what I'd like to say to the American people is believe your eyes. We have all seen the photographs of Donald Trump with underage girls sitting on his lap. We know that he was best friends with Jeffrey Epstein for more than a decade. We know that he has not complied with our congressional subpoena of the DOJ files, and we know that he is named multiple times in those files. So believe your eyes, believe your ears. And my question is, if they were not engaged in an elaborate smokescreen and cover-up, then why the hell is the president calling and threatening members of Congress for them to not take a vote on releasing these files after these files have already been subpoenaed? They are trying to bury this, and the president is personally trying to stop Congress from asking for these files again.
And I do want to ask you about that, because it is unusual that Lauren Boebert is there for this meeting. But first, just to really zoom in on this redacted name here. So are you of the belief that the victim that Epstein is alleging Trump spent time with at his house is someone besides Virginia Giuffre, or could be someone besides Virginia Giuffre?
I do not have information that would allow me to answer that question. What I know is that we've received 23,000 documents from the Jeffrey Epstein estate, including this email.
Okay, but then let me zero in on this real quick. Can I just ask you this? So you do not have knowledge that tells you that is Virginia Giuffre?
Absolutely not.
We need every Democrat on air all the time talking about this. We are certainly, as you know, going to on this show every single day. If you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. If you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. Also, I've been saying to go follow me on Instagram. You can at JD Cocchiarella, JDCOCCHIARELLA over on Instagram, or just if you want to hang out with my personal Instagram where I post like photos of Kermit the Frog and me just like hanging out. It's just my first and last name. You can go hang out there. But I'd like y'all following. There's been a bunch of you that have, and some DMs. Y'all are so sweet, and I try to read as many comments as I can, but it's hard to get through all of them sometimes. So when I see those DMs, it really makes my day. And you also will see on my Instagram story today that the YouTube podcast charts came out. I think I beat out Megyn Kelly. I beat out Ben Shapiro. I'm close to beating out Tucker Carlson in terms of weekly views. And that is all because of y'all. And I really appreciate that. We've built something really cool here, and we're going to use it to keep on calling out the bullshit. So, as always, keep on fighting, y'all. Don't let them silence you. And until next time, I'll see you soon.